Welcome your faces back to the Pommy and Oz channel, and the AFL season is really heating up, and we had a really good look at two clubs that we think are going to be bottom dwellers in the nicest sense of the word in West Coast Eagles and Richmond. Their simulation game that was staged up at Mineral Resources Park. That's a mouthful, is it not? The game was all about, trialing the new setup, seeing these young players, particularly from Richmond, who have got a plethora of them, and figuring out who will be ready for round one. Both teams were missing key players, but we still got plenty to unpack from the game. So we're going to go through the match review, and then we'll dive into the 5 big talking points for this game. Sam Lalor is a strong performer, but he did have an injury at the end of the game. Elijah Hewett really stood out. Jacob Blight made a huge, strong case for round one selection. Seth Campbell in a new little role. We talked a lot about him in his draft year here. He did catch the eye. And Eagles' forward line, is he going to be deceptively dangerous? So much to unpack in this game, so let's run that intro and get straight into it. The Eagles put on a strong showing against a very undermanned and inexperienced Richmond side with a 41-point victory, and the margin was kind of deceptively narrower because at the end of the game it looked like the Eagles had just given up and tried to kick some token goals for Richmond. Both sides though were missing plenty of first choice players, which did give us a great opportunity to look at the team's depth because that will be tested. Eagles were missing Jake Waterman, who had a sensational year last year, the legend that is Harley Reid, Jamie Cripps, Jeremy McGovern, Liam Ryan, Tim Kelly, Campbell Cheshire, Ryan Marrick and Tom Gross, where Richmond were missing Vlostin, Hopper, Tim Taranto, which is like the most common out in the world, Jaden Short, Tom Lynch, Nan Curvis, Nathan Broad, Josh Smiley, John Tifo and Maurice Rioli. But with these experienced heads missing, the challenge for Richmond was really apparent, and West Coast did take advantage, controlling the midfield, and they were incredibly efficient going forward. The Tigers did have strong moments though. Tom Sims really did impress me early on in his game up against some real strong Matty Flynn. I thought he really did show some signs, and that will be a little bit of hope because that was kind of a token pick from Richmond. Sam Lalor, he was phenomenal though, it has to be said. Looked incredibly lively before going off late in the game with a fractured jaw. This injury was really the biggest knock here. They did have Hugo Ralph-Smith look like he clutched a hammy as well, and he had quite a solid game. But Richmond really were behind the 8 ball from the off. Elijah Hewett really ran the midfield, and Tyler Brockman put his hand up with Oscar Allen, showing why he's in for a big year. He took his goals well. West Coast comfortably won this game, but Richmond will take plenty of learnings, and that's probably going to be a common phrase when we review Richmond games in the year. It's all about learnings in 2025 as they build towards round one. So let's get into them talking points. Big Sammy Lalor, impressive game that was really dampened by the injury. Starting in the forward line, he really did showcase that simile that people have said with Dustin Martin. He led the way, he took some really strong grabs, showcased that really strong aerial game, was proficient with the ball on the ground as well, and slotted 2 goals which really did look impressive before he burst into the midfield and again showed clean hands, his ability to win the ball and two-way running. The incident, though, will leave a sour taste. Ruben Gimby had a heavy collision which concussed him and also has been a fractured jaw, which makes him a huge doubt for round one. It's a massive blow for the Tigers. The Tigers will look to reshuffle their plans, no doubt, if he is out, but this is going to be one great white hope for Richmond. I am so excited about seeing this kid. He looks the part. He looks every bit of his billing. Strong in the air, really good goal sense, and really good at bringing players in and around him. He looked to dish it out, and I can't wait to see him with a full strength Richmond because I think the senior players are going to thrive off his work. Elijah Hewett is one that we have talked about, and he showed so much class in his draft year, but hasn't quite showcased it in the AFL yet, in my opinion. But he was a lot more involved in the ball, won a heap of it, was really strong in the clearances, really good core strength, broke out, and he's got a real good balance between being aggressive and defensive. And I thought Harley Reid would have watched this game and gone, I can't wait for a bit of this. He's breaking tackles, he's making smart decisions, and driving the ball forward was a real key, poignant standout. And it just made me think, if the Eagles can get Tim Kelly to Geelong Tim Kelly, where he didn't have to do so much, now is the time to do it, because I think Tim Kelly would burst out with Harley Reid and Elijah doing what they do. And if Elijah can back this up, suddenly Tim Kelly is going to be a real tasty proposition. It's definitely a sign of things to come. I think Elijah's ready to take that big role and take some responsibility in 2025. And this game really showcased that. I was really impressed with Hewett. I think he's going to be strong. Jacob Blight is up next, and with Brodie and Vlosten out, they needed someone to really step up. And I thought Jacob Blight really showcased why I really liked that pickup a couple of years ago when they took him. He was really strong in the air. His read on the aerial ball is second to none. And you know what? He's really important. He's one of them players that's very handsy. He gets the ball touching him when it shouldn't happen. He's always a little bit just annoying. He really does spoil well. And he looks quite composed under pressure, which he's going to have to be, because Richmond, with all due respect, are going to hemorrhage inside 50s. I thought he was really strong when he needed to be, and he's definitely going to be a shoo-in for that back six, I think. Having Vlosten and Broad there is only going to develop him even more, but I really do like what I see with him, and I think that him and Noah Bolter could be quite the combination moving forward when Bolter returns. He's a real strong player, is Jacob Blight, and I really do like the story, but he does look the part. He looks ready-made to slot in, and I'm really impressed with some of the things he's added to his game. His distribution looks far better this season already, so he's going to be one that I really think he's going to have a real strong season, just based on this showing. One of the more interesting moves was with Liam Baker now playing for the opposition, and he didn't do much, but you could see Liam Baker is a classy player and he'll do it when the time is right. Was Richmond last year used to like spurting a quicker, smaller player in, and Liam Baker was that man. This year, this game, we saw Seth Campbell do it. And what is great about Seth Campbell is that energy. He is really quick to use the ball. He's really ferocious in his application of what he does. And I think he showcased that in elements of the AFL last year. Usually playing as a small forward, I like this move in and around stoppage. He was very direct. He makes that attacking run to the ball carrier to offhand to him. And I really enjoyed what I saw for there. There is that element there that I think that you're going to have to get goals out of nothing. And that kind of forward half stoppage rotation could really come in. Really crux when the time right. In 2025 in the AFL, I think a lot of games will be a lot tighter than people give it credit for. So I think these kind of little elements really add something. And this rotation here with Taranto and Hopper missing, I liked it because that's kind of like Taranto's role, being that dynamic threat around stoppage. I kind of like it because they're going to have to try and manage Taranto a little bit more. And I personally think Taranto's best work is at half forward, not on the ball. So I really like this little flux here. I think Lalor and Campbell could be a real point of difference, which ultimately frees Taranto up and allows Hopper to be the physical presence in that midfield. And the next one might surprise you, but with the output of Brockman and Oscar Allen, with no Waterman, Cripps and Ryan, I looked at West Coast forward line and I didn't actually mind it, you know. I thought Brockman really stood up, and being that kind of awkward size that Brockman is, his pressure was really strong, but also he kicked them 3 goals and he was finding space at will and he was willing to peel off his man, and how he combined with Oscar Allen was really impressive. Oscar Allen is a guy that I really think is a 50-goal-a-year player, and after an injury-riddled couple of years, he really looked back to his best and led the line really well. I've watched it and I thought their entries were really solid as well. When you add the players to come back, Harley Reid and Mr. Tim Kelly, I think you look at that midfield and you go, you know what? This forward line has goals in it. So I'm looking at it and thinking, from just a logical point of view, add Liam Ryan to that, add Harley Reid to the midfield, Tim Kelly, you have got something very special here. I think long-term, this could be a really good forward line, and I think it's going to surprise teams. I don't think West Coast, based on this, although against Richmond, the way it was structured and the way they move the ball, they're going to be a nightmare when you have to play them at the Optus. So that's the wrap on the Richmond Eagles game. It was a solid performance by the Eagles. Plenty of positives, though, in my opinion, for both teams. Big questions moving forward. Sam, is he going to be ready for round 1? But he looks quite the player. Elijah Hewett, is he going to break out? Are we going to hear a lot about Hewett and Reid? And will Jacob Blight lock down that key defence role and be a solid acquisition? Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments. Let's have a chat about it. Like and subscribe for more AFL content. And until next time, I'll see you soon. Toodle pip. Pom out.
Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.